Hey everybody, it's Spencer again. I've got Perrin with me on the call for our coaching call number 5 for the niche site project number 2. Perrin, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Hey, everybody.
Awesome. We're getting pretty deep into the project here, and call number 5, we've been working at it about 6 weeks, I guess, pretty close, um, and we're making some good progress. So let's just review quickly what we did last week, and then we will kind of answer questions and figure out what we're going to do this next coming week.
Sure.
So we talked a lot about a lot of different things, but essentially the assignments were for you to come up with a brandable domain name, to set up your hosting, set up WordPress, and to start working on your first couple of articles. And people can listen to the previous call to figure out why we went with a brandable domain and the content strategy that we decided to go with. I'm pretty sure most people listening to this are already caught up, so why don't you tell us how you did on these assignments and where you're at so far?
Yeah, for sure. So I picked a brandable domain after brainstorming a couple ideas with, my friends, my girlfriend, and whoever would listen to me. And I settled on one. I actually didn't get my first one because it wasn't a .com, and just to be safe, I wanted to go with the .com. So I picked a brandable domain name, something that I think is brandable anyway. Set up hosting, set up WordPress, which is something that I'm familiar with kind of anyway. And then I began working on the first 2 articles, but due to some crazy scheduling stuff, I really only finished the first article, but I'm really, really happy with the first article. So when we left last time, we had 2 keywords. We had the keyword that we were going to target first, the really low competition one that we thought that we could rank for, which was like 1900 search volume or something like that. And then we had the other keyword, which was a loftier keyword that was going to serve as the homepage. So,
Right, and I've got that pulled up for people to look at here, kind of our content strategy.
so those were the 2 articles that I was going to work on, and my schedule was just kind of nuts for that whole week, and so I only got to do one, but I'm really, really happy with that one. I got to research just a ton of stuff, and I pulled together, I think the ending article was something like 2,000 words, which is more than I thought it would be, especially considering the product.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But it ended up being 2,000 words of what I think is really good content. So, and it's kind of loosely modeled off of other product sites that I found in the niche, and then also
Mm-hmm.
Best Survival Knife Guide. So there's a little bit of an upfront introduction that's kind of creative and hooky. There's a
Mm-hmm.
big comparison chart that I did with a WordPress plugin. There's some other content about like how do I find the best mystery keyword for me, what is a mystery keyword anyway, and then
Right.
top 5 product reviews where I did research on actual products. One of the I think more interesting content decisions that we talked about during the week was adding a video. So I found I didn't want to just throw videos in there, but when we talked about it, we figured that having a really good, high-quality video could possibly reduce bounce rates
Mm-hmm.
and just add to the general level of engagement. So I ended up putting a really good video from a high-quality source that's just a YouTube video, and I embedded it right on the site. So there's no exit to the video, but you can just watch it right on the post.
Nice.
So I guess that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty good. And there's a lot of things that we could cover, but since you've built sites before, you already knew how to set up WordPress, you knew how to set up hosting, and so I'm sure there's people that have questions about those things. I'll try to link to a couple of posts where I've shown how I set up hosting and bought a domain name and some of those basic things. So hopefully we're not skimming over some of these things that people really want to see, perhaps, but those are things that are fairly easy to learn once you know what you're doing. So tonight, really, we're going to just take this, Perrin, where you want to go as far as, maybe what your questions are for the next step, or if you already know what you're going to do, maybe you can just tell us what you're going to do. Yeah, I just kind of want to coach you through that process, I guess. So
Yeah.
what questions do you have? What do you feel like are your next steps?
Sure. So I guess I kind of want to spend, maybe we can break this up into 3 parts because that's how I see my questions. So
Okay.
I have some parts about like WordPress, so like themes and plugins.
Okay.
I think would be really useful to talk about. I'll let you get that down.
Yeah. If I can figure out how to use my mouse again. There we go. Themes and plugins.
On-page optimization, but also kind of content strategy for on-page.
Okay.
And then moving forward, because I think in the next week or two, what I'm really going to be focusing on is getting to that 20 article mark, So some strategies for looking for those secondary keywords.
Okay. All right. No, that sounds good. So should we just go down the line there, or did?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So themes and plugins. What are your questions? I'm sure maybe you've already got some basic themes and plugins, or a theme, or additional plugins. But what are your questions specifically?
I just have the default theme, so or one of the default themes that comes with WordPress, but something that I know absolutely nothing about is like the technical side of SEO, so like speed and stuff. So what I want to avoid is going out there and buying a theme that's like really pretty, but's going to have like super convoluted coding, which I know nothing about. So like, is there any way to avoid that, or is there a particular type of theme? Because like, we see like newspaper themes and blog themes, or like, is there something that works particularly well for this type of site?
That's a great question. So there are certainly all kinds of themes that you can get that will look great. And I'm going to be honest, I maybe am not always using the best themes either. Sometimes I'm just looking for the theme that looks just right, and maybe I'm not digging enough into the speed of it. But there are tools you can use to test the speed of your site after the fact. But there are a couple of premium themes that are known for being, loading fast and being SEO friendly. And so I will just mention those. There's the Thesis theme, and there is the Genesis theme, or framework, if you want to call it, is really what these are. Thesis framework and Genesis framework. And so the Genesis, is a framework where you it sets up the core WordPress theme files, but then you also get a child theme, which really sets up the look and feel of the site. So those are a couple of avenues that you can look at for specific themes that are SEO friendly. But other than that, like I said, you can test the speed. And I don't have any off the top of my head that I can put down here. I'd probably just go over to Google and type in speed test, website speed test, or WordPress theme speed test, or something. But as far as so that kind of answers the SEO question, and I know that's probably not the best answer in the world. but we can also talk about look and feel of the site if you want.
Yeah.
So there's lots of other places that you can go to buy themes. Certainly if you're going to get a thesis or a Genesis theme, there's lots of marketplaces for those. So you could go to the Genesis, sort of marketplace to buy child themes, and there's all kinds of options. But another place that I bought themes is Themeforestnet, if I spelled that right. I don't. Let's maybe go over to Google. So yeah, there's themeforest.net. Like I said, I've bought a couple of themes from. That you can actually get a really nice looking theme for $37 or $47.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So a relatively low investment that you can get some great looking themes. There's also elegant themes that has some great premium looking themes that are very, very nice. I've used a couple of these as well. So it's $39 for access to all of the themes. It looks like he has 86 themes.
So when you're looking for a theme, because like one of the things that's really popular now is like those big sliders at the top and all that fancy stuff.
Right.
And I noticed on some of your and other people's websites, for the niche sites, they don't go that way. Is that something specifically to be avoided, or what's the, like, is there just a style that's going to, like, put content first, I guess is what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah, so like for your particular site, we're going to be targeting a specific keyword. And so when you have people land on your home page, it's ideal if they can land on the page where that content is, where that article is. And so your theme, if you choose the right theme, you can have a content homepage where it shows the whole article. And so that's what I would recommend. And usually for niche sites, that's what I would recommend. A site that the homepage doesn't have the fancy sliders and all of those other things. Certainly it could depend as your site grows bigger and maybe you do become just a more general niche or a more brandable site. You can add the fancy sliders and whatever you want. But for a niche site, usually you're going to just have content on the home page, and so you do have to pick the right theme to do that usually. So that is something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, I mean, those things in mind, it's basically personal preference, or I guess, I mean, preference according to like what fits your content, I suppose.
Yeah. So, we haven't brought this up too much, but when you originally signed up for this project, you had agreed that you'd be willing to spend up to $500 on the project.
Yeah.
Basically, up to this point, you've spent, what, $10 on the domain or something?
Yeah, if that.
And I guess you already had hosting with another site, probably.
Yep.
So really just $10 out of your pocket so far.
Yep.
You could go out and spend, $47 on a theme. And the other thing, I guess, that actually we haven't talked about is a logo or a header design. You could probably get a nice logo or header design for $50 or less.
Yep, I actually am bartering with my professional graphic design friend.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to do some keyword research for her. It was the friend who I mentioned in my write-up for like week 2 or something, Susie Quilts, who is kind of making a niche site along with me and like following the project and stuff. So I'm going to do keyword research for her, but she does design, and so probably save a couple bucks getting a logo done.
For sure. No, that's awesome, man. That counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that saves money. So good to have friends that know how to design things or do other cool things. So awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see.
So yeah, I mentioned that just for people listening in that, there's a couple of ways that maybe you want to invest something. I'm terrible at design, so maybe you want to spend $50 on a logo or something like that.
And when you do that, where do you go?
Yeah, so I go to, well, I've gone to a lot of different places. I've had pretty good success at freelancer.com.
Hmm.
Um, Pretty cheap, relatively speaking, logo design, and I've gotten some great logos out of that. And in fact, that's where I got my Longtail Pro logo. That's where I got my Niche Pursuits logo. So, some good designs for like $50.
Yeah.
I have tried Fiverr out a couple of times. Pretty hit and miss there,
Yeah.
but you can certainly try it. And then there's all kinds of other freelance places, but those are the couple places that I've done okay with.
Yeah. Totally.
So, plugins. I guess we covered themes pretty good. I'm going to leave it up to you to pick one, find one that you like, and we'll go with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um, Plugins. Have you installed any at this point?
I have installed two. One was the table plugin, and I think we were talking about this before the call, but I used one called WebSimon, but you can't sort the table, like the reader can't sort the table. So I think we're going to go back to TablePress, which is what you use for Best Survival Knife Guide.
Yeah.
It seems like the best table plugin because I did make a chart.
Yeah, and I did see your chart. It did look nice, but having that sorting function is awesome. So, did I spell that right? WebSimon?
It's one word though. Yeah.
Just one word?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, yeah, TablePress is another good one. And there are some premium table plugins if people want to spend a little money for fancier ones or something. But TablePress has been great for me. So, what was the other plugin you had?
It was. Let me see. It's a SEO plugin called. It's the one that Juiced does.
The
All-in-one SEO.
the all-in-one SEO?
Oh, it's called WordPress SEO. And that's by Juice Vander, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Who does Yoast? Yeah. And really the only reason I like that one, or the only thing I use that one for, or that I have historically, and I don't even know if it's good. It was helping me out. It was helping me out as a beginner. So when you go to your posts,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you a checklist of on-site SEO optimization stuff. So it'll give you like keyword density and whether or not you have an image alt, whether or not you have H2 or your keyword in an H2 tag. And so you can really just kind of like go down and make sure you have everything checked and make it like really easy, which is really nice. And now there's some things that it has you check that I don't particularly agree with. Like it won't give you a little check mark on the keyword density unless you have like 5% or 3% or something. And I think conventional wisdom now is about 1% or less.
Yeah, for sure. I always do 1% or less.
Yeah, so like you still have to be careful and you still have to kind of take your time to research on site optimization, but it's nice to have just a little checklist as you're going.
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool. Maybe I should look into that some more. I've always used, for the most part, the all-in-one SEO pack or whatever it's called. It seems to do a good job. But the WordPress SEO by Yoast is maybe just as good. So that's a couple options for people listening in out there.
Yep, and then the only one I usually do, and I don't like make a bunch of sites. Obviously, I only have like 6 sites that I've ever made in my life. But XML sitemaps.
Yes. Yep, that's a good one, and you can submit your sitemap to Google Webmaster Tools if you want to, using that sitemap.
Yep.
And so, do you have any specific questions about plugins, or I can just maybe offer a few that I typically use?
Yeah, which ones do you use?
So I use those. I will usually use one called it's called Yet Another what is it called? Yet another related post plugin. And that one is basically at the end of all the posts. It shows all links to related posts. And that's basically all it does. But it does help with SEO because it will be linking. It helps your internal linking structure a little bit automatically for you, because every time you write a post, at the end it'll link to 3 or 5 related posts, so you can start getting lots of interlinking between your posts, which helps the overall strength of your site. So that's a good one. Okay, so yeah, the yet another related post plugin. It helps your SEO because it links internally to other pages on your site. So it really helps out just with that internal linking structure. So at the end of all of your articles, it'll link out to 3 or 5 related posts on your site, and you're thereby getting all those internal links to other pages, which just raises the strength of those pages.
Yeah, so I know very little about internal linking structure. Are we recording, by the way?
Yes, we are recording.
All right.
You're live, Perrin.
I'm live. Oh no. Okay. Good. Okay. So and this is just my guess. So tell me if I'm right or wrong. But when you link from one page,
sorry.
Yeah,
Hold on.
for sure.
Sorry about that. My 5-year-old daughter just ran in and had to have a piece of paper right now.
Shoot. Yeah, she's probably got some important business to take care of.
Yeah, she had a marker in her hand. That's all I know. So, okay. Sorry, you had a question about that. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I know very little about internal linking, so I'm just gonna guess at why it's important, and you tell me what I'm wrong about. So,
Okay.
if you have a page, like I have this, I write an article that's about something, and then it links out to 5 other articles, and that page has a page authority of 20, whatever, has some link juice going to it. When you link internally, do you spread that link juice around a little bit?
Yeah, definitely you are. Pages linking to other pages, even though it's on your own site, still passes some of that link juice. So if you have a very powerful home page and you then link to some of your inner pages, you will be making those inner pages stronger by virtue of linking from your home page, which is a strong page. So it's very, very good to have your site linking to lots of other articles on your site. Maybe I didn't talk about this much because I just do it naturally now, but when I write articles on my Survival Knife site, I always link out to a couple of other pages on my site within the content of my article. But then also at the end, I'm using this plugin that automatically generates, a few additional links to related posts.
Right.
So yeah, it is helpful. Definitely.
And do all links on a page count? So like, say you have
Mm-hmm.
a recent posts widget, do you get links for all the pages that shows up on?
Yeah. If I'm understanding you correctly.
Yeah, like the right sidebar. So
Yeah.
you have like recent posts, and you have the top 5. You have like your top or the latest posts that you've done, but those will show up on like every article that you've written. So are you getting links every time they show up?
So yeah, you're getting a link from your home page,
right,
to that article. So yes. So every time you write a new article, it'll show up under recent posts, and so you'll be getting one link from your home page to that new article.
I understand. Cool.
So other plugins that I use, I've actually got my Survival Knife site pulled up on the side here so I can look at the plugins real quick, but a couple that I just use general purpose. I usually like to have a contact form on my page or on my site, so I use the contact Form 7. It's just a quick and easy way to create a contact form. I use the dig plugin, which is the plugin that shows the social, you can like or tweet. Okay, so the dig plugin shows all the social metrics, the floating bar on the side of your, of your post, so people can quickly like a post or tweet it out, things like that. Then another one that I use is the Quick AdSense. And I use this a lot, not just for Google AdSense, but to insert anything within a post. So a different type of ad, or an image, or an opt-in box, things like that. So you may or may not use it, but it's one that I use for more than just Google AdSense. Another one, and you don't necessarily have to do all of these, but another one is Robots Meta. That just allows you to control whether some pages are do follow or are index or no index, or whether some links are do follow or no follow, different things like that. A little bit more control over where the robots, the Google bots, are going to go on your site. And one to help with the overall speed of your site that I use is W3 Total Cache. That helps to cache pages and sort of shrink the overall size of your site so it loads quicker within a browser, things like that. So that helps. And then if you have images on your site, which you do, and a user actually suggested this one for me, it's called WP Smush It, WP, and then it's spelled there, .it. That helps reduce image file size to help them load quicker as well, overall. So those are a few that I use that you can think about using, and certainly as you want to do different things with your site, you can install different things. But those right there will get you pretty far along your way.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah, any other plugin questions or anything like that? Or anything, if there's anything on your site you want to look at? I don't know, what do you think?
Not at the moment. I'm sure
Okay.
I'll have more when I get in there and start writing and wanting to do different stuff, but not right now.
And then, so your final question was looking for secondary keywords.
I also had the content question. Content questions.
Oh, that's right. We just skipped that one, didn't we? Let's, okay. Sorry about that. You had on-page optimization, which we kind of talked about, but content strategy. So what specifically were you looking for here?
Yeah, so first I wonder if what's your basic checklist for on-page optimization?
Okay, so we already talked about one thing. I like to use 1% or less of the targeted keyword on my page. And yeah, people will vary in their opinion, but 1% or less, and I do stress the or less because even 1% is kind of extreme when you think about it. I mean, if you have a 2,000 word article, you would have to mention your exact phrase 20 times in that article, which, I mean, really is kind of a lot.
It is.
So the other on-page thing is obviously to be using the keyword within the title of your page. And I think I've covered that pretty well. You just stop me if you have more questions, but those two things, and then okay, because you're using the keyword in the title of your page, the title of your page is typically within WordPress automatically set to like an H1 tag or a title tag. So Google recognizes the strength there. Other people really say you need to be putting your H1 tags or things like that, or using H1 tags with your keyword. I don't really worry about it. So really those two things are the content strategy that I use. Okay, here's a couple of others actually. Within the first paragraph, I usually like to use the keyword phrase, and also in the last paragraph. Then other than that, just use it where it comes naturally in your writing.
Yeah.
But that's about it for the actual content of the page. Other on-page optimization things are the internal linking that we talked about, to other relevant articles on your site. Also, outbound links to quality sites.
And why are those important?
So it shows Google that you're a good resource. And part of this is my own opinion, and and then part of it I'll explain here as well. But if you think about it, Google wants to rank places that are very valuable to readers. And how can you be valuable to readers? You can provide them a really, really good resource. That's one reason Wikipedia does so well. They link out a ton. You go down to their resources at the bottom, and there's 20 or 30 links that they've linked to. And they also internally link very, very well within Wikipedia. So they're a great example of how you should be, doing your own sites as well. So within your articles, I would actually be linking out to, maybe 5 or 10 other places for an article that's 2,000 words.
Yeah.
For one that's only maybe 500 words, maybe a few links out. But I would link to quality resources like, Wikipedia, .gov sites, government or official organizations, consumer groups, these very sort of authoritative places for the most part that are really good resources. Now, there's a whole other strategy that maybe we can eventually get into, but if you are linking out to the right places, perhaps influential bloggers, you could then contact those bloggers and say, hey, I just mentioned you on my site. I thought, maybe you'd want to check it out. Or you can tweet this that, hey, so-and-so, I just linked to you. Thanks a lot. And you might get some retweets, or they may email you back, and you can start a relationship. So linking out to people is a good way to build relationships. So that's great. And also, you can get pingbacks or trackbacks. If you've ever seen that before, do you know what I'm talking about? Sort of at the end of an article, sometimes WordPress sites will say, places this was mentioned essentially, and it'll be pingbacks for, so if you link to another site, they may actually be linking back to your article. So it can get you some links as well. So that's my rationale for outbound links.
Cool.
Other than that, I think that's a pretty good overview of on-page optimization, overall, structure and content strategy.
Yeah, I had one more question about something a little less technical, but
Okay.
something that I've been curious about. So, I'm wondering how important it is to organize the most important content and/or ads, if there's somebody out there doing an AdSense site, above the fold of that page, when the user lands on it. Because right now, what I have, I think the most valuable thing on the page that I have is that comparison chart. And when you look at my page right now, you see 3 paragraphs of words, but you have to scroll down to see the chart. Am I going to lose people there, or is that important at all, or what's the deal?
Yeah, no, that is important, and that's something that you're going to want to look at. You want to provide some content first, because I just think that provides value, some sort of introduction. but you do want to make the, the links, the affiliate links, pretty easily accessible by others as well. So that's something you should probably just test and play around with. I would say leave it where it is now. Once you actually start getting some traffic, maybe test out if bumping it up towards above the fold a little bit higher gets you better results.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So should we move on to secondary keyword questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so just looking for secondary keywords was your question. And we've kind of covered this, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think I mentioned in the last call that you're going to want to do, 15 to 20 secondary articles that target keywords that get around 200 to 1,000 search volume per month, right? And are low competition. So what additional questions do you have?
I guess so when you were building Best Survival Knife Guide, did you just start with those filters and then related seed keywords?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so again, this could be some brainstorming that you could do.
Yeah.
You could just, because you're targeting more of a general niche, you could just go over to Amazon and look at related products in your particular niche, or just things that you think off the top of your head. Maybe you have questions. Like I had questions about survival knives, like, what is I don't remember, the difference between a fixed blade knife and something else.
Right.
So I jotted down some questions that I had and other products, and those can become your seed keywords.
Yeah.
That you can type into Longtail Pro, and then use these filters to then look at lots of additional keywords. And then honestly just go through, calculate the KC, keyword competitiveness, and go after the ones that have the lowest competition that seem to make sense. There'll be some keywords that just don't quite fit for an article, and others that will. So that's basically what I did, is I found 15 to 20 secondary keywords that kind of met that criteria, that were within the niche and that seemed interesting, and I had those articles written.
Nice. Yeah.
So hopefully that, makes sense to everybody else listening out there as well. But, at this point, yeah, just looking for low competition that gets some search volume. It doesn't have to be any sort of massive keyword, but just really makes sense. What would the overall visitor to your site be interested in hearing about? Does it fit with the theme of your site? And those are the keywords that you can target next.
Is it as important with secondary keywords to go through and look at every single result in the top 10 and really do the level of analysis you did for your first keyword?
That would be awesome if you could do that, but I didn't. I basically hit the calculate KC button, and if it looked low, if it was below 30, let's say,
yeah,
I just went for it. I didn't go through and look at the overall top 10 results and with a fine-tooth comb like we did before.
Yeah.
I sort of just said, okay, these are all keywords I want to target, and I just went for it.
Yeah.
If you had all the time in the world, you could, spend an hour finding each additional keyword or whatever, but, that adds up.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think you have to do that.
For sure. Yeah. And I think there's some assumption too that just because the volume's lower, the competition will tend to be lower. It obviously won't always be the case, but
right.
It's going to help you out too.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, and again, this is for people that maybe have the platinum version out there, is just by hitting that calculate KC button, you can find out pretty quick where the difficulty of that keyword is. So if you just have, the standard version of Longtail Pro or some other tool, you may have to go ahead and look at the top 10 results very quickly in Google to get a good idea.
Right. Yeah.
But overall, I think you've got some things that you can work on.
Yeah.
Should keep you plenty busy. Should we just dive into what your assignments are?
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
feel like I'm a professor giving homework here.
Yeah.
Assignments this week for my student. So you want to finish your homepage article
Yep.
and find 15 additional keywords. Think you can have that all done in a week?
Yeah, definitely.
And then install plugins. What about themes? Are you going to try and pick out a theme or a logo?
Yeah, pick a theme.
Okay. Pick a theme. Work on logo or header design. I'm just trying to think. Anything else that would be a good assignment you think we should be looking at here?
I don't think so. I think that about covers it.
Yeah, it really does. And just for, again, for you and other people listening out there, we're going to focus on the content of the site first. We're going to try and get some of this core content up and written before we ever worry about promotion and link building and all of that. So right now we're just focusing on core content, the look, the design, and that's about it right now.
Yeah.
So promotion will come later. So I think that's about it. You know, we tend to talk a lot, it seems like.
I think we really do.
And I mean, but you're making some good headway as well. So it's not like it's all talk here. You're doing stuff each week, but
yeah.
We appreciate people sticking with us and listening to all of this. Hopefully, it's been useful. I know that Perrin's getting a lot out of it, and I can certainly see he shared his site with me. We're not quite ready to share it just yet, but I think once you get the homepage article up, we're going to share it very shortly after that. So it should only be another week, week and a half, something like that, and I think we will go live with it to the public.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds awesome.
All right. Any parting words you have for anybody?
Just thanks again. I'm enjoying like commenting with everybody and seeing all the regulars there, so it's always fun.
Yep, absolutely. It's always enjoyable to see everybody interacting. I love it too. So thanks a lot, Perrin. Have a good night.
All right. See you guys.
Okay, we'll see you.